check out the local flavor segment, and we're going to let you know.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the 540 Show. We are in studio with Machelle, Patton, Swisher. How's it going today, first of all?
Awesome. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing really well, and I'm with Thomas, as always.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
And she is part of Spotsylvania County, and she is a school social worker. That is a really neat job, and we're going to learn all about that today.
Absolutely. So, first question I have for how long have you been a social worker in the school system?
I have been working in the schools for about 9 years now. My primary job has been working with our homeless student population.
Okay. That's all. How do you like doing that?
I love it. I love my clients and families I work with. I love our students. Yeah, it's awesome.
Is there a percentage you can give us on, like, the homeless students right now in Spotsylvania?
I can tell you we have over 300 right now
Oh,
in
wow.
Spotsylvania.
Wow.
Last year, we ended with 601 students that were identified. So you have to reapply every year. And you meet a certain criteria. So you are either living doubled up if you lost your housing, and let's say I had to move in with you, Thomas, because me and my family had nowhere else to go. That would make us homeless under McKinney-Vento, which is the federal law that allows students to stay in their school of origin. I could live in a hotel or motel. I could live in a shelter. And we only have 3 of those within the Fredericksburg and Planning District 16 area. I could be an unaccompanied minor, so that might be if I'm 18 years old and my parents kick me out and I'm kind of couch surfing. So you'd meet one of those criteria that you would be identified as McKinney-Vento or displaced.
How would you find out, if, say, a child was kicked out of their home and they're couch surfing? Is it kind of just like the rumors from school? Or
Yeah, usually.
So you got to do some digging sometimes?
Sometimes, or a lot of times what happens is the kid is maybe not coming to school, and that's kind of a flag of, hey, why aren't they coming?
Yeah.
Well, it's because they don't have a way to get there because they're not on a bus route, and so we can help get them. Under McKinney-Vento, students are eligible for 3 things that the federal law mandates as a school system. We're supposed to provide free lunch, free breakfast, and transportation to and from school of origin. Now, Spotsylvania is pretty unique. We have a lot of cool services that we offer our students in our area as well. We have access to Treasure House, which is a place out at Massaponax High School where families can come and go shopping for free once a month and get hygiene, food, clothing,
Oh, wow,
school
that's
supplies,
awesome.
That is
anything
awesome.
like that. And I can tell you this year between January and July, we served about 1,500 folks through Treasure House.
Wow.
And that's not just for folks that are homeless. That can also be for people that are living in poverty and need assistance.
need assistance?
Does Treasure House take donations and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
So there we go,
take,
yeah. So-
absolutely. We take donations. Currently, we are not accepting any clothing at this time unless it's new socks and new underwear, but hygiene products, laundry detergent, dish soap, toilet paper, razors, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, school supplies, whatever folks use on a daily basis, we can use that for students and their families.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is
Where
really
can
awesome.
where can people go to drop these donations off?
They can drop them off directly at Treasure House, which is located behind Massaponax High School near the football field.
Awesome.
And we have a front porch that has a drop box.
Okay, so you
And
just
you can leave it-
anytime.
Yep, anytime, 24/7.
Sweet.
It's checked every school day.
Okay.
We have a really good partnership at Massaponax that actually special education students work in Treasure House. Like they sort things, they put things on the shelves. So it's a win-win for students and us. So
So it doubles for them. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
really neat.
yeah,
I
it's-
did not know that. So now we do, and make sure if you have stuff to donate, like she said, with just the items that she said, make sure you drop those off at Massaponax High School.
Yeah.
So you said you've been doing this for 9 years, correct?
yeah, about 9 years.
So what made you get into to want to do this?
Well, I think it found me.
Found you.
I don't know how else to describe that.
Yeah.
I had been an intern, actually, with Spotsylvania County Schools when I was working on my master's. And 2 ladies, one from Stafford and one from Spotsylvania, Lisa Dolan and Lisa Van Dolan, wrote a grant. And the grant was for somebody to case manage homeless families in both counties. They offered me that position. It was part-time. It worked out great. It was a great gig, worked, 18 hours a week. And then the needs kept growing and growing. And so then it eventually became I worked just Spotsylvania and somebody else was doing Stafford. And then eventually Spotsy hired me full-time and I've been there ever since.
Ever since. That's awesome.
So yeah.
So how would you, if someone was looking to get into this type of work, what would you suggest they do as far as is there a route they can take to get into this field?
Well, first of all, you do need to be a school social worker within Spotsylvania County. You need a master's in social work.
Okay.
So you would need
So
that.
there's that.
You can also get an added pupil personnel license on. At the end of that, it's called a school social work license, and so you can get that while you're getting your master's degree. I encourage everybody that's going to school, like if you're working on a psych degree or a social work degree or a liberal arts degree, keep going. Don't take a break. Go right into getting your master's. Work in the field. Work at different places that you can get some experience with mental health issues because school social workers are often looked at as the mental health expert in the schools. So you have to have a really good background in working with mental health.
Is it any? Does it make? I don't know how
Makes
to word.
you-
Does it make you a psychologist
Yeah,
in a
that's what I
way?
was-
No.
that's right.
Okay,
We
see,
are
that's
a-
what I wanted
we
to
are a
use.
social worker.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, I wanted to make sure that I said that because I knew that sounded a little too powerful. I don't know.
No, a social worker is a little different than a psychologist.
Okay.
But most of our school social workers all have what's called their LCSW, which means we're licensed clinical social workers.
Okay.
So we can do therapy. We can go out and hang a shingle in the real, private sector and do therapy for folks.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but weren't you the licensed social worker of the year in 2015?
I was the NASW social worker of the year for
No,
the state of
it's not.
Virginia.
Congratulations, that is awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, but you can go and you can do psychotherapy with folks. It's a little different in the schools. You do some therapy with kids, but a lot of times you can work with kids with behavioral issues, attendance issues. You work with their families. Trauma-informed schools is a big thing right now, dealing with kids that have been through trauma. There's complex trauma. So there's all kinds of many different hats you wear as a
Okay.
school social worker.
Okay.
Wow, so I'm sure you get this a lot, and we were talking a little bit before you came on. Tell everybody how you differ from a guidance counselor.
So school counselors is what
Yeah.
they're called now. They are actually, and there's one in every school, and they kind of do similar roles in some things, but they're normally in their schools every day of the week. Unfortunately, school social workers have multiple schools, so they can't be in the school at the same time. So kind of think of it as like a triage level. So
Okay.
school counselors might take that first and second level, and they might be involved with a third level of tiering. School social workers are really that second, third level, kind of working with more intensive cases,
Okay.
more compound issues that are going on. But everybody works collaboratively. I mean, our school counselors in Spotsylvania rock. I mean,
Awesome.
work
So
really hard
that's good that you
together.
guys work together.
Yes,
I'm sure the
absolutely.
teamwork definitely helps out in that situation.
So, and if you were the head of this giant beast, and you could make some big changes, what would you change about the system that we already have here in place?
oh, the big thing I would say is that every school gets a social worker.
And that's-
just one dedicated social worker per building. And some places need two. High schools really need two. You
'Cause
have a
they're
lot
growing.
of kids. You have a lot of kids that have some pretty extensive mental health that need support. And I think that would be the biggest change that I would implement. And really, what that comes down to is a funding issue. And so it's important, especially with elections coming up, that people are out there voting because that's going to make a huge difference
Yeah.
in what happens.
Perfect.
Yep. So once again, we're in studio with Machelle Patton Swisher. She is a school social worker in Spotsylvania County. She does a lot of awesome work for the students in the area. Moving forward, Thomas, I know you have a couple questions, hypothetical type questions at the end you wanted to get to. So why don't we go ahead and do those?
Yeah. So there's we've kind of gotten a small gist of what you do. So just kind of digging more in depth with that. Say that there is a high school student who is needing assistance with like some dating violence issues, and that became a deal to you, that became brought up to you. What steps do you take as a school social worker to help this particular student?
The first thing I would do is make sure they're safe. I mean, that's crucial at that very moment, to make sure that student's safe and to let them know they have a safe place to come to in the school building to talk and kind of chat about what's going on. I would really encourage that student to reach out to community resources. I mean, we have a wonderful program here in Fredericksburg area, in Powerhouse, that's a great support for folks dealing with domestic violence. They also have teen programs, and I think it's important, that we address it early on, because you don't want that to become a lifelong situation for somebody.
Do you see a lot of this with the young kids and dating violence?
Unfortunately, yes.
Really?
It occurs. And, and I think it's important to remember that a lot of times you don't realize violence is occurring because it's subtle. It
Sure.
might be some verbal stuff, put downs. No, you're not talking to those people. No, you're staying with me. Then it might progress to maybe a little bit of pushing, a little bit of shoving, a little bit of twist in the arm. And those things are not okay. None of that
Yeah.
is okay.
And I'm sure social media has made it really difficult too, with the crazy how social media has just spread like wildfire. Like I'm sure that adds another element to
It
everything.
does.
Yeah,
It does. And, and that's where you got to remind young folks, too, like, be cognizant of what you put up on social media.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it could be very dangerous, but it can also help you. I mean, there have been kids that have put things up on social media that are, wanting to harm themselves, and that's how school personnel get involved and help stop somebody
Yeah.
from hurting themselves. So it's important to be aware of that. But there are resources in our community that can help with those things. But I always tell kids to go to a trusted adult. It may not be a school social worker. It may be a teacher. It may be an administrator. It may be a lady in the cafeteria. Somebody in your school building can find the right person
To help.
to help you figure out what to do and how to keep you safe.
Absolutely. And so, what are not to put anyone's, obviously business out there, but could you talk about some of the more intense situations that you've had to deal with?
I can tell you about one, and it actually just happened tonight. I had a student, I got a call about 4 o'clock. Family kicked him out of his house, and he didn't have anything to go home with, like food or proper clothing or hygiene products. And so I went over and grabbed some items from Treasure House, took it to him at his school so he could be, at least have some things for the evening to eat, to wear, and to get ready in the morning and come back to school. To me, those are the hardest because it's basic needs. It's called Maslow hierarchy of needs that you have to meet first. You've got to meet food, shelter, and clothing. You're not going to learn if you can't meet those basic level of needs.
Absolutely.
So, until we help that student meet those level of needs, there's no way he's going to come sit in a history class or an English class, he's just not going to be in the right frame of mind to do that when you're worried about what am I going to eat tonight? Where am I going to sleep tonight? Oh my God, I don't have anything to wear. And so I think that's important. Those are the ones
thank
that
you
are
for
hardest.
all the work that you do for all
Thanks.
the kids.
I
'cause-
love
Yeah.
my job, and I'll say, we have a wonderful community. We have an event this weekend called Rock Out, Knockout Homelessness.
Yeah, why don't you
Yep,
tell us about
yep,
that?
we've
Yeah.
got that on here.
That was
Yeah.
coming up next. I had that one
Good,
queued up. Yeah.
Good. So it's this weekend. It's Friday and Saturday. Friday 1 to 4 and Saturday 8 to 8 at the Walmart at South Point, and that's where we collect items to fill Treasure House. So as folks are going in, we're going to have volunteers out handing out flyers saying, "Hey, donate to us." And folks can't donate if they're like, "Hey, I don't have time to shop." We're taking gift cards, we're taking cash, because we do have a homeless student fund in Spotsylvania County that we're able to help support kids. We've paid for kids to get behind the wheel for driving.
Awesome.
We've paid
Yeah,
for
that's awesome.
prom tickets, homecoming tickets. Really
that's
anything
so
a kid
awesome.
So many
needs.
resources out there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's perfect because that's those little things that if you can't afford to for a homecoming ticket or behind the wheel, because that behind the wheel is pretty expensive.
$280.
I couldn't remember if it was in the
I mean, I
300s
remember
or-
I was struggling with, trying to figure out how we were going to pay behind the wheel or
Yep.
getting a prom ticket. So I can't imagine how tough it is for, some other kids
And so
now.
we can alleviate those things for kids to have
Yeah.
positive school experiences. It's a win-win for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, our community is so generous in helping to support those things. I mean, we've had kids that have needed, wrestling shoes. They're on the wrestling team. Well, you got to have special shoes
Right.
to wrestle. And so we've been able to, purchase those kind of items.
Well, there's athletic fees now too, isn't there,
Yeah.
with kids
Now-
that, having to pay?
Because the students are identified McKinney-Vento and they get free and reduced lunch, they don't have to pay those
Okay,
fees.
awesome.
Oh, that's
But,
awesome.
if you think about it, we do have kids that are involved in various clubs and organizations. If they want to go, like with the drama club to New York, well, they don't have $600.
Yeah.
$600 is never going to happen for some of these families because that's a week and a half's worth of room rent in a hotel.
Right.
So that homeless student fund can help those families for their child to experience what their peers are doing. And
So that's from 8 to 8
8 to 8 on Saturday and 1 to 4 on Friday.
at South Point Walmart.
Correct.
Now, you're pretty involved with the students' families as much as the student,
Yes.
or is it just predominantly the student?
A lot. It depends on the age of the student. For elementary school, I'm mostly dealing with the parents.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
High schooler kids, if they're ones that are couch surfing, it's only them.
Sure.
Because at the age of 18, I don't have to disclose anything to a parent.
Sure.
So it just depends on the age of the student.
So if you under the FERPA, if say a student, you found out the student was engaging in alcohol or even drugs, how do you involve the family in these particular situations?
Depends on the age of the kid,
Uh-huh.
and it depends on the circumstances. So you really got to
Okay.
do some fact gathering too, because if you have a parent that's given a sixth grader alcohol, not okay.
Right, right.
But if you have a high school kid that's drinking, you're going to want to have a conversation with that kid about what are we doing to keep you safe. Let's talk about bringing your parents in, because no parent wants their child to not succeed.
Sure.
And so working with that student to really kind of work together with their parent to get the services that they may need if there's a problem going on.
Absolutely.
And having conversations around that. So we might help coordinate that and engage that for the student.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, once again, thanks for coming in today, and
appreciate
thanks
it.
for all the work you do. I learned so much today, and where I can donate and where I can help out. So make sure you're getting out. What is it, Friday?
And Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. Go to South Point. They will be there, I'm sure, if you show up to South Point. And make sure you help donate and help out these kids that are in need in Spotsylvania County, because we went to school here, and I know that's really cool to have those resources out there.
Absolutely. So again, we had Miss Machelle Patton Swisher here in studio. Thank you again for coming in.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
podcasting
And if
with
anybody
us.
has any questions, they can reach out to me at the school board office. That number's 540-834-2500, extension 1030. If somebody was like, I want to donate, how do I do it? Just give me a call.
There you go. So you heard all the information you needed to hear on the 540 show, and we are moving on to what you don't know outside the 540 segment, and we'll be right back.